Heidi ho there, my lovies. Welcome back to Crazy But Not Dangerous. I'm Shorty Vaughn. I'm going to be making a stoop today. Half soup, half stew. I coined that phrase from someone that left it down in the comments. I had never heard it before, but I think it perfectly describes my soups. Because sometimes I get carried away with ingredients. Because, you know, oh, that sounds good. And, oh, that sounds good too. And then before I know it, it's no longer a soup. It's more like a stew. But I had to get the big pot out today because I want to make a lot. And because I got the big pot out today, I also had to get my step stool out. It's just a little like exercise step that you might use for like a step class. But for me, it's perfect. So I'll be able to see what's going on inside of my pot here. So you'll see me get up and get down. It's one of the hazards of being 4'5". In case y'all didn't know, I'm 4'5". I live in Glendale, Arizona. And pretty much on this channel, we just do the best we can with what we've got. We just keep on keeping on, baby. So I've got a little bit of bacon grease, and I love to cook with a little bit of bacon fat. I cook my bacon, and then I run my bacon through a sieve and a paper towel, and I save the bacon grease for cooking because it's a free fat. I already paid for it. Why would I just throw that away? So I'm going to need about 3 teaspoons of bacon fat here in my pot to get us started. So I'm going to be making like an Italian stew, and this is going to be super delicious. I want to make a lot because we're going to have it tonight for dinner, and then we're going to have it as a lunch option for most of the week. I already prepared some salad stuff, so we can have salads, we can have soup, you can have a combination. It could be just like going to the Olive Garden. In fact, this stew is kind of inspired by Olive Garden, by the zuppa toscana that you could get over at the Olive Garden, but with a few more things in it to make it hearty, also to make it a little bit more cost effective, because I want to make a lot, and so I'm going to need to bulk it up with some less expensive ingredients. Gonna turn that on about a 5 and get that going. Pardon me. I also have about 3 tablespoons of flour here. I'm going to go ahead and add that in there too, because I'm going to be using that to make a little bit of a roux, so that will be my thickening for this stew. Stoop, soup, whatever. It's all good. Gonna need a little bit of a whisk, and we're just gonna let that get heated up, get started. I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. So what's new and exciting with you babies? Tell me all about it. Tell me down below. Same old here. It's early in the day, about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm making this early because I'm gonna have to go up and down the step stool a lot. So I know I'm going to be worn out by the time I finish this. And I want to parcel this out. So I'm going to take out enough for this week and put that in my refrigerator. And then I also want some for my freezer for another time. And we are at the tail end of, the January is National Soup Month here in the U.S. So we're at the tail end. And I think this is a great celebratory stew, so yay, hooray. Let me go ahead and I'll bring you down and I'll show you what my roux is starting to look like. Okay, so that bacon fat is just starting to melt, and I'm just blending that in with the flour and cooking off that raw flour taste. It's going to be fantastic. Yay, hooray. I needed a little bit of fat in that pot because I am going to be using hot Italian sausage today, but this is a chicken sausage that I have had in my freezer for a while, and I need to move it on along. Anyhow, I got it and it was 30% off, and so mild would work just as fine if you're opposed to the heat. But I want to get this in and get that started with a little bit of browning, but because it's a chicken sausage, I'm imagining that it's a little bit leaner than I would normally like. So go ahead and get that on in there. Whoa, Nelly. And then get that broken up. I took that out a couple of days ago to thaw, and it is just fine. Fine and dandy. And there we go. Getting that all broke up in there so we can do its thing. I want to make sure that it's all incorporated throughout the soup so that everyone's getting a little bit of that great sausage taste. Because this is a spicy sausage, it will have, it will impart a lot of flavor into this soup. So I think that is a especially good thing. Because when you're budget cooking, you don't also want to be on a budget and have bland food. You don't want to feel deprived or sad. I sure don't. Anyhow, so that's going to do its thing. I'm going to let that brown up a little bit. In the meantime, I have 4 washed red potatoes. Those were part of my ugly vegetable haul the other day. And I just want to get these cubed up. I'm leaving the skins on. Number 1, because I hate to peel potatoes. And number 2, because there's a lot of great vitamins and nutrients in the skins. And so they don't bother me at all, especially with like red potatoes, because the skin is so thin. Not my skin. You gotta have thick skin to be 4'5" and also to, you know, be on YouTube. So thick skin. I think this is a great budget meal because right now at my grocery store, pretty much all of them, and I checked their prices today. Potatoes, carrots, onions, celery. These are the basis of this Stoup. These are some of the least expensive ingredients that I could find. Most of them are hitting about the $1.50 mark per pound. And there was no meat at my grocery store that was $1.50 per pound, except for hot dogs that I did find a package of hot dogs that would come in right around the $1.50 mark. So I think this is a great budget dish. These potatoes will make it feel hearty, will make it, you know, have that stick to your ribs kind of sensation. So yay, hooray for that. And these actually, I ended up with 4 pounds of red potatoes for $2. And you just, yeah, from the ugly vegetable section. And I was A-okay with that. So, throwing these in there with my sausage. And I am going to let this just kind of simmer on the stove for a while for all those flavors to incorporate, for them to mix and mingle. Hot diggity. And this is a 6-quart stock pot. So there we go. Doing its thing. Little Miss Hazel, she's over here. She's, Mommy, what are you making? It smells good. It smells like spicy sausage. That dog, bless her. I'm telling you what, so I was over here, I was chopping garlic, and you know that I drop everything. Well, I dropped a whole clove of garlic onto the floor. And I put my foot down on it because she's always here, you know, just waiting. She's opportunistic. She's always waiting for something to fall on the floor. Anyhow, I put my foot down on it, and then I bent down, and by the time I got down, my foot had shifted. She saw the piece of garlic and went after it, and I thought she would like put it in her mouth and then realize like maybe that's not for me after all and spit it out. Nope. She ran off with it. She ate the whole clove of garlic and then came in here and was begging for more. I'm like, no, baby. No, you don't get any more garlic. And anyhow, I kept an eye on her all day. She was fine. I have some carrots and celery that I prepared the other day. I'm going to go ahead and throw those in. You know what? I'm just going to put a lot of those in there. until my heart feels full, and then I'm gonna stop. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, right now, carrot, celery, onion, cabbage, kale, are some of the least expensive things that I can buy at my grocery store. And all of these are good things to bulk up whatever meal. Also onions. Onions are also really inexpensive. I sliced this one up earlier yesterday for the pickled vegetables that I made. Those turned out fabulous. Those will be ready in 3 days, but I have to admit that I did take a taste test. And I like onion. I think if some is good, more is better. Each to their own. And we'll save the rest of them for salads this week. That'll be just fine. Now, let me get back up here on my step stool. And I need a little pot holder here. And I just want to get a light saute on all of this veg, on that ground chicken sausage. Make sure everything's coming together okay. And it smells fantastic. You know, some people ask me, what's it like to be 4'5"? Well, for the most part, in my day-to-day life, I don't even think about it because I've been in this body a long, long time. You know, I just do the things that I need to do. The only time I get really frustrated is most of the time when I go out in the world and there's something on the top shelf that I want and I struggle. And so, you know, sometimes I'll have to look around the aisle to see if there's anything that I can like, knock it to the very edge with and then grab it. Or, you know, I used to be able to jump. I used to be able to like climb the shelves and get to, oh yeah, I did some dangerous stuff trying to. Anymore though, I'm not a very good jumper and I try not to climb the shelves because, you know, that's dangerous and I'm not as agile as I used to be, but you know, for the most part, in my day-to-day life, I don't really notice it until there's something that I can't reach. Now, there have been definite drawbacks to being 4'5". One of the hardest things about being 4'5" has really been getting a job. You wouldn't think that that would be a big deal, but it's been a big deal. I've been to job interviews where they wanted to give me a height test. I went to this, I applied for a waitressing job, and I've been a waitress and in food service and the service industry for years. So I really didn't think anything about going to this interview. I figured I've got the experience and I should be a shoo-in. Anyhow, I interviewed with her husband, I interviewed with the restaurant's owner's mother, and then I've interviewed with her. And she says, well, you have great qualifications and a lovely personality, but I'm really concerned about you being able to get things from the pass-through. And I said, oh, that's never been a problem. You know, I have my own step stool. I'm, you know, more than willing to bring it with me. And she just kind of gives me a look. She's like, I don't think that everyone else could negotiate around your step stool. So let's go to the kitchen and let's see if you can get things from the pass-through. Well, her pass-through was 3 levels high. Base level, middle level, and upper level. And there's like warming lights underneath each section, including the bottom section, that would be at my height. And I said, oh, well, you have 3 levels. How about we don't put food on that bottom level. And I could not reach from the 2nd level, and I sure as heck couldn't reach from the 3rd level. And so she said, you know, as much as we would like to have you, I just don't really think that this is going to work out. I also have some crumbled bacon, and I want to move this on along because it's no longer my favorite, but we own it and we're going to use it, and it is going to add something to this soup. So there we go. So I did not get the job with that restaurant based on my height. Oops. I'm just knocking that thing all around. Sometimes I get looks. Sometimes people ask me questions. It doesn't really bother me when people ask me questions. Most of the time the question is incorrect. So the most curious question that I get from people is, are you a legal midget? That's what it is. Are you a legal midget? which makes me laugh. And I always tell people, no, baby, I'm on the run from the law. Shh, don't tell people. There is no legal midget status, and honestly, I prefer little person to midget. There's no height requirement for being a little person or suffering from dwarfism. It has more to do with your diagnosis. So for me, I'm not always willing to share with random people like what my diagnosis is. But with friends, you know, among friends, I will gladly tell you that I have growth hormone deficiency and a pituitary disease secondary to that as well. And so at age 10, my growth just stopped. And back then, I went to the doctor, and the doctor just told my mother, she'll grow when she's ready, she's fine, look at her, she's okay. They didn't really have the things available for treating growth hormone deficiency that they do now. So, yeah, it would be a totally different story today. But yeah, I stopped growing at age 10, so I'm about the size of a 10-year-old child, and kids love it. They come up to me, and they're curious. They're not quite, because you look like an adult, but you're the same size as I am. And they want to measure themselves up to me, and they are so proud of themselves when they surpass me in height. My little niece Liberty ran up to me at her birthday party. Aunt Shorty, I'm almost as tall as you are, and I'm only 8. I'm like, baby, you just keep on growing. You got to eat your fruits and veg, and that way you'll grow taller than Aunt Shorty. Anyhow, in my day-to-day life, I don't really think about being 4'5" all that much. You know, we're just doing the best we can with what we've got. Andrew is fantastic, though. I will tell you that Andrew, over the years, has just rigged things up for me, that pulley systems so I can get something down or I can turn something on. We used to have misters outside, and the on-off was way up high, and he developed this pulley system so I could turn the misters on, so when I was outside gardening, that they would come on and everything would be nice and lovely. And he just is super conscientious of my height and tries not to put things away that are too tall. Like, I would never want measuring cups that I get out on a daily basis up on a top shelf, because then I might be a little bit more perturbed. So he watches out for me. I think that's super sweet and super nice. And just, yeah, we all have things. We all have things. That is no lie right there. You might be short, or you might be too tall, and you hit your head on everything. Or maybe you're a little thinner than you'd like to be, or maybe you're a little wider than you would like to be. Or, you know, maybe you have another kind of an ability than others. Or maybe you're not able to do some of the things that, you know, you used to be able to do. Hello, I know that one. Anyhow, just sauteing these vegetables up, trying to get them coated with that good roux. That's going to help us develop a lot of flavor and thicken the soup, and put in just a little bit of just a little bit of brown on these vegetables. It's just going to bump that flavor up even more. Because while we're eating on a discount, while we're eating some things out of the bargain section, the ugly vegetable section, we are not going to feel deprived when we eat this meal. So yeah, for the most part, I don't even think about it on the daily. I just think about, okay, well, this is what your lot in life is. You just keep on keeping on. And yeah, do the best you can with what you've got. So yesterday I made some pickled vegetables, and I did blanch my vegetables. I ended up with about 6 cups of that water with those good vegetable, again, it's like a nice vegetable broth. So I am going to be adding 6 cups of vegetable broth in here from my blanching. I'm also going to be adding about 6 cups of water. Oh yeah, it'll be okay. And then I have 2 cups of whole milk. I didn't have any heavy cream. I didn't have any half and half. And honestly, I'm saving my evaporated milk right now. So I had 2 cups of whole milk. It's going to be fine. If you had skim, if you have powdered milk, whatever you might have. I also have some bouillon. And now this is Nor bouillon. It's chicken flavored. And I have about 3 tablespoons of that bouillon because I want a deep, rich, chickeny flavor. Chickeny? Yeah, it's a word. It is now because I said it. I want a nice, deep, rich, chickeny flavor inside that stoup. Inside the stoup. There we go. I also have some granulated garlic. Hello, Gilroy, California. And I'm going to add some of that, until my heart feels full. And I reserve the right to add more. Absolutely. I also have some Italian seasoning. And we're going to add quite a bit of that to it. I love Italian flavors. People always ask me, are you Italian? No, I'm not Italian. But I'll tell you that I love Italian flavors because they're deep, they're rich, they're hearty. And when you are cooking on a budget, Italian seasoning is cheap. You can buy it at Walmart. You can get it at the Dollar Tree. You can make your own if you grow your own herbs in your garden. Basil and parsley and oregano are super easy to grow in your garden. And let's go ahead and just get that in there. Get that all stirred up. Yay, hooray. I've got that on like a 5, so like a medium. And I want this to get started. Let's add some black pepper to it. Why not? That sounds like fun. And if you don't have salt and pepper, or you're running low on salt and pepper, and you're also having, like, you don't want to spend the money at the grocery store on just basic salt and pepper. Look in your junk drawer. The one they have all the sauces in from Taco Bell and McDonald's and what have you. I'll bet you that there are a few salt and pepper packets in there. Yeah, I always ask for, salt and pepper or condiments or what have you when we would go through drive-through or what have you, just, for a little backup. You never know when you might need a little something. Okay, so I'm going to let all of those vegetables soften in here. I want that to be really rich and delicious. And then we're going to come back and we're going to add some more, because I'm going to look in the pantries. I'm going to go look in the refrigerator. I'm going to see what else needs to be moved on along. We're going to take some taste tests, see what else it needs. Because we can always add more garlic. We can always add some more Italian seasoning. I don't know, maybe that was 2 or 3 tablespoons of the Italian seasoning. But yeah, we're just going to let this do what it does. We'll be back in a few. Ooh, that smells so good. The undoubted worst part of being 4'5" though is going to get your hair done. Because they take you back to the shampoo chair and you've got to squish all the way back. My feet barely come to the edge of the chair and my head is mostly in the sink. Can you get a little further back? And they're looking at the position that I'm in to get my head into the sink, and my feet are just kind of, they're not even to the edge of the chair, and I can't go any further. This is it, baby. And okay, well, we'll just do the best you can. That's all I'm saying. Anyhow, that's why I like to go to the Great Clips, because I can wash my hair at home. They give me a little spritz, and then we just get her done. So this smells fabulous. I can hardly wait for dinner tonight. So we will be doing a reheat. I've got some salad that I've already put together, And I'm just, yeah, gonna let this continue to simmer here on the stove. Those potatoes will also help thicken the soup, and that will make it fantastic. So, yeah, I'm the shortest in my family. I think my sister Glenda is the tallest at 5'6" or 5'7", and from there we just kind of, yeah, we're pretty much all under the 5 foot mark. My sister Sherry, she's like 4'11". Sister Patty, she was 4'11". Melissa's pretty tall. She's like 5'3" or 5'4". I don't know, somewhere around in there. Anyhow, she's a get something off the top shelf for me kind of a girl. Thank goodness. But everybody has something. There's not a person on the face of this earth that does not have something to overcome. And you just got to do it. For some, it's easier than others. Oh, you know what I wanted to show you? So I had all that produce that came in these little red nets, but I don't throw these away. So I take the little red nets, I make sure that there's no staple in it, and then I just kind of roll them up and tuck them into one of the other red nuts, push it down in there, tie a little knot in it when I get it as full as I want to get it, and then there you go. You now have a nice little scrunchie to wash dishes in the sink or wash something really gross, because you didn't spend money on this. I mean, you did. It was part of the packaging. If you wash something gross with it and you want to throw it away, well, you don't feel one bit guilty because you're recycling. Yay, hooray, I can get behind some upcycling, some recycling, all bicycling. Yeah, bicycling, kind of. Okay. Anyhow, yeah, hot diggity. I'm gonna let this simmer. We'll be back. Ooh, it looks good. Smells even better. Yesterday, I blanched some vegetables. I made some pickled vegetables, but I also went ahead and blanched the remainder of that bag of yellow squash. And I put it on this tray, mostly single file, so that I could flash freeze it so they're solid as a rock. And I have a plastic bag. Now this used to hold tortillas. I did wash it, and it's a zippered bag, and I'm going to go ahead and upcycle this too because I paid for the packaging. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my frozen squash in here. These will be great for a dinner when I need a nice, quick, easy side. I don't need to think about it. I can pull some of these out, whether it's just for Andrew and I or whether we have company. I can pull out what I need, add a little butter or olive oil to it, pop it in the microwave for about 5 minutes, salt and pepper, and they will be fantastic. So I got that whole bag for $1, and yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm using every bit. And I love to reuse these bags because the zipper on them is just fine. They're kind of like an in-between size between, a quart and a gallon, and so they hold quite a bit. And just another little way that I save money with my recycled plastic bags. And, maybe a plastic bag is only 10, 15 cents, something like that. Maybe a quarter. I don't know. But, if that's a quarter, I can save. It costs me $1 to dry a load of laundry. So, if I can save 4 plastic bags in a week, then, that pays for load of laundry in the dryer. Just, any little thing that you can do that, watch the pennies. The dollars will take care of themselves. That's what my grandma used to say. I don't know if that's still true or not. But since we're talking about being purposeful, someone in the comments yesterday said something about that they like their refrigerator full so long as there's a purpose to everything that goes with it. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. When I'm looking at the discounted merchandise, I just don't buy things nilly-willy. What am I going to do with it? How am I going to save it? How am I going to preserve it? How am I going to use this in the future? I only buy things that I like. I do not buy things that nobody will eat, because then that's just a waste of money. And then we feel miserable when we have to eat it. I don't want to be miserable. Life is hard enough without having to eat foods that you don't care for just because you got them on a bargain. Now, I'll tell you about a friend of mine. Her name is Karina. She has a she has a YouTube channel called One Day at a Time on a Budget. I'll go ahead and try to link it down below in the description. Anyhow, Karina, I love her. I've watched her since the beginning of her channel in 2020. In 2020, she left a well-paying job to take care of her spouse full-time. And they went from making a very nice income, a comfortable income, to making about $15,000 a year. And they own their own home. They eat every day. They have a vehicle. And she is very, very purposeful with her money, with her groceries, what she's doing with herself. And they have a wonderful life together. They are so in love. It is fun to watch them. So if you have the opportunity to go see my friend Karina, like I said, I'll leave her information down below. The way they live might not be for everyone. And I just ask that you're kind to Karina if you go over and visit her. But her and her husband, Glenn, I am absolutely amazed at what she and her husband accomplish on the daily. They live a very purposeful life, and she takes excellent care of him. And I know I have a lot of caregivers out there, a lot of you that are taking care of a spouse or children or what have you. And you know, just her, she is very purposeful. They often go to the food pantry, and it's interesting to watch her channel, because in 2020 you can see her being really dependent on the food banks and the food pantry. And you know, that's okay. We all go through hard times. It would be hard to go from, you know, a $55,000 job to making less than $15,000. Yeah, you know, it would certainly be a lifestyle shock for the least of it. Anyhow, I love Karina, and I just think that her life is very interesting to watch. But you can see her going from being very dependent on the food pantries. And if some of you are considering going to a food pantry, it's an excellent channel to watch, especially some of her older videos, because she will give you basically the ins and outs of, you know, going to the food pantry, what she does with it when she gets it, how she's saving money and distributing, you know, the products that she gets. And then also, like, you watch her channel progress, and now they don't go to the food pantry at all. And how she's making money in her everyday life with YouTube, with her Etsy store, that she's changed the course of her own history. So I think One Day at a Time on a Budget. Her name's Karina. Tell her that Shorty Vaughn sent you over, and I think it's a channel well worth watching. Now I have my favorite. I watch YouTube all the time. I love Jerry Ellen over at Cooking with Neighbors. Hi, Jerry. Rhonda's Country Kitchen. Create with Linda. I love to watch the Wads, because Kimberly Wadsworth, she kind of has this huge, enormous family, and it makes me feel reminiscent of the family that I grew up in. Also, Ozark Family Homestead. Yeah, I mean, she got a lot of kids, and it feels like home to me. And I just love YouTube, and you know, you watch your favorites, and you feel like part of the family, and you want to know what's going on, and all of that good stuff. Anyhow, I'm gonna go get my squash into the freezer before it gets thawed out, and I want this to be delicious. I know it's gonna be fantastic, and I don't care what kind of a bag I store it in. It's gonna be amazing no matter what. Well, it has just been simmering away. It smells amazing in here. Andrew's in bed. I don't know how he can still be sleeping, because the smell would wake me up. I've got 2 more ingredients that I want to add to it. And so I got this bag of chopped kale. You could use spinach if you were so inclined. You could omit it entirely and just add more, maybe you add peas to it. I think that would be fine. But I'm going to add a few handfuls of the chopped kale in here. And I love kale. And I think it holds up super well in a soup and just adds a really fresh bite. I think it tastes fantastic. I think it adds good texture. I like the frilly edges of it. I just like kale. And anyhow, it's funny because Melissa she looked at my bag of kale. What is that? I said it's kale. I hate kale. And I didn't say anything. I just kind of laughed a little bit because when I make my green powder, oftentimes it will have kale in it. And I put that in all kinds of things for a little added nutrition. And she's been eating kale. She doesn't know it. Okay. I guess I'll try it, she said. But she was mad about it. Anyhow, a little bit more. And I want to add a little bit of Parmesan Romano shaky cheese to it. Now, when I tasted this, it tasted like it needed a little bit more salt, but I didn't add it yet because I wanted to add that shaky cheese to it because that can oftentimes be quite salty. So between the bouillon, and that Nor bouillon is often salty, and that shaky cheese, I wanted to give it every chance for the flavors to develop and then check its salt content. And I can always add salt, but it's really hard to take it away. Now, if you do over salt something, throw a potato in and it'll absorb some of that salt. But this is thick and rich and hearty, and oh, it smells super good. Now, I use the spicy Italian sausage, but honestly, once you get it in with all of this liquid, that spiciness will diminish a little bit. So let me grab a spoon here, and I want to do a little taste test and test for saltiness because we want food to taste good, even if we're cooking on a budget. I don't ever want to have to eat bland food if I don't have to. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that broth. Let's get a spoon. And we'll see if it needs some salt. Ooh, it's right there on the edge. It needs some salt, but not much. We're almost there. So I'm going to say about that much salt, and it should be just about perfect. Those vegetables are tender. Everything looks fantastic. Bring it down to show you. Here we go. Thick and rich and creamy and plenty of big chunks of the sausage. Yay, hooray. That delicious decadent cheese in there. For my family, this will have at least 14 portions. I'm thinking actually probably more like 16 because we put 6 cups of water, 6 cups of that vegetable broth in there. There's 1 pound of the ground sausage, a little bit of that bacon. Now, if you needed it meatier, by all means, this is just the jumping off point. Where you go with it from here is up to you, babies. So, you could add more meat. If you're a vegetarian, or maybe you're having a meatless Monday, or meat just wasn't on the budget today for you, beans. I think beans and rice, or beans and pasta would be a great way to bulk this up even more. Your choice of vegetables. I think adding lima beans to it. I think next time I would add lima beans to it because I love lima beans, and anywhere I can sneak them in from my picky eaters, and that often includes in a soup or stew. They're just looking. They don't know what it is. Just eat it. It'll be fine. That's what I tell them. You're on a need-to-know basis. Anyhow, this is fantastic. I've still got a little bit of my broth here to enjoy. And honestly, I don't think I can wait for dinner. I'm going to make myself I'm going to make myself a little bowl full now. Make sure that I'm getting a little bit of that spicy sausage in there. And yeah, we'll call it brunch. Yeah, I'm gonna have a little soup for brunch. It's kind of right between breakfast and lunch. Let this just sit for a couple more minutes just so that that kale can get a little bit more tender. Yes, you can freeze this. Your kale may come out after freezing and reheating a little bit darker than when it went in, but I don't think that's going to deter in the taste one bit. All right, my lovies. Well, be good. Be careful. Look both ways. I'll see you next time. Big old smooches. Huge squeeze aronies. And yeah, we're not going to be suffering one bit today. This soup is going to be fantastic for dinner. And like I said, we're going to be eating it as an option for lunch the rest of the week. I think that is a great way to stretch $1.